Hi, everyone. My name's Jose, and I am the Community Education Administrator for Merrymeeting Community and Adult Education. Welcome to this onboarding video for enrichment teachers. We had this idea because we have a lot of information out there that we give out to our teachers, new and veteran teachers, every catalog cycle. And we had this idea to actually make a little bit of a onboarding video just to get everyone kind of familiar with my face, and then with kind of the look of our process and everything else that we might need to discuss. If and this is relevant for both new teachers, but also for veteran teachers as well too. So I actually have some stuff I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to share with you all the PowerPoint. Okay, set up for, let's go here, a few tabs up. This is it, onboarding for enrichment teachers. Go to slideshow presentation. Great. All right. Well, welcome everyone to Merrymeeting Community and Adult Education. We are in adult education school within the MS 8075 school district. And we are headquartered in Topsom, but we also serve the communities of Brunswick and Bath and Wiscasset, and a variety of others, Bowdoin, Bowdenham, um, Harpswell, Phippsburg. We have 10 communities that we actually serve in the area. So we're a pretty large, sort of a regional program. Um, and these are just some pictures of some students and some instructors having fun. These couple pictures right here, this first one and this middle one are of a paint night, and then this one right here is, I believe this is a mobile, how to make mobile from driftwood class, and I believe that this last picture is either pastels or colored pencils, or maybe not. It might be actually watercolor. Um, but yeah, we take a lot of pictures because we like to use it in our marketing, as well as any kind of promotional stuff we have up. So welcome to the onboarding video for enrichment teaching at Merrymeeting. This is a catalog year of 2024 to 2025. So this is actually a breakdown of the adult education staff. And I think it's important that everyone understands how we are set up, so that everyone knows where to go to. And I'll get more specific about that in the next slide. But the person in the middle, his name is Alan Lampert, the one haloed in gold. He is our director. Everything revolves around him. All decisions are made through him. And then let's see, next to him is Dawn, and she is actually the assistant director. And she's also the site coordinator for our location in Bath. And then next to Dawn is Elise, and Elise is our administrator for academics. And then if you flip on the other side is me, and I'm the administrator for community education. So this top row is actually the administrators for um, for our adult education program, and then below that is our support staff. And on my side, directly underneath me, is Catherine and Sue. Catherine, many of you will know her very well, but she works very intimately with me. She designs the catalog. She designs a lot of the marketing materials that we put out as well too. She's a fabulous designer, but she's also wonderful at customer service, and she will take care of all of your needs and all the needs of the customers as well too. And then Sue, next to her, she is our coordinator for Brunswick, actually. So if we're having programs that are running in Brunswick, either at the high school or any of the other facilities in the area, she will manage that for us, doing a variety of different jobs. And she does a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you. And then on the other side of that, we have Susie and Ben and Pauline. Susie works with us as well too on enrichment. She does customer service for us, but she specifically does the billing and invoicing. You'll get to know Susie as well too, especially as a teacher. And she does an amazing job for us. She is the face of Merrymeeting for all intents and purposes. Below her is Benedita. She is our ELL coordinator. So she takes care of all of our English English language learning programs. And then next to her is Pauline, and Pauline is in support staff over at the Bath office, which is why she's underneath Dawn right there. And she's fabulous as well too. Does a fabulous job over there in Bath. We work closely with Pauline as well too because we run a lot of programs in the Bath and Wiscasset area. And so that is the breakdown. So basically, like all adult education programs in the state, we are divided into two departments: community education on one side, which does enrichment classes and programming. Merrymeeting specifically does youth programming as well too, and events and anything related with community programs. And then on the other side is the academic department, and they handle high school completion, college transitions, workforce development, and driver's education as well too. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is our fabulous enrichment team. Everyone has pretty much on our staff has a hand in enrichment, but these are the three people that you will want to know as teachers. So there's me first, and I am the administrator for community education. I work specifically in program development, so I will be your first contact, as we'll see in another slide as well too, especially if you're proposing anything to run any kind of program here with us. And I also do marketing, and I also help out with tech support. So if your class needs any kind of, specifically any kind of tech equipment, or anything really that involves any kind of technical situations, then I would handle that for you. We'll figure that out. And then next to me is Catherine, and Catherine specifically does scheduling logistics for us. So you work with her on that. And she works, like I talked about, she works in marketing as well too. And then she does a fabulous job with customer service as well too. And then next to Catherine and Susie, Susie also does customer service, but Susie specifically will do billing and accounting. So she'll take care of invoicing for you. You'll get paid through Susie. That's how you'll know her. And then she works on a lot of other things for us. She'll do order materials for us that we need. She's usually the first person that will pick up the phone because she's usually the person that's here the most. And she also does a lot of things for academics. She does a lot of data related stuff for us as well too. So Susie's very, very busy, very, very talented and multitasks as well too. But just so you know, specifically for enrichment, that's what the three of us do. Okay, so we have our catalog. So adult education programs throughout the state of Maine are all different. We're all kind of community programs in our areas, and we all run the catalog system very differently. Some programs don't even print the catalog anymore. It's just online. We still print the catalog, and we also have an online version of it. Here at Merrymeeting specifically, we print 2 catalogs a year, so it's a biannual catalog. The first catalog we do is for fall and winter programs, so it'll go from mid-September to late February. And then we publish a catalog for the spring and summer seasons, and that runs from mid-March to late August. And so that's just really important to know. This wasn't the way we always did it, but it seems to be the best way for us to get the most classes in there, the most exposure for it throughout the year, because we do run programs throughout the year. And so, yeah, it'll be really important for you to understand that as a teacher proposing a class as well too. This cycle coming up is for fall, winter. So you'll be wanting to think about where your classes will land between September and February. Sometimes teachers will just give me proposals for the fall from September to December, without realizing that we're also open in January, February, March, and we run programs as well too. Then, so we kind of call that our little winter season. But it's important that you give me everything that you need or that you would like to run throughout that catalog cycle, because we don't print again. And frankly, as far as marketing is concerned, the print catalog is our biggest vehicle. So if you want a program or any kind of advertisement in the catalog, this is the time to do it. Would be this too. We do run programs that we call them sort of pop-up workshops and classes that aren't included in the catalog, either because they were too late or they were given to us at some point throughout the catalog season itself. Um, those are far and few between, but we do run them. But it just depends on what we're looking at. But what you really want is you really want your classes in the catalog. Catalog goes to all 10 communities that we serve, which is about 40,000 people. So it gets a lot of exposure. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to know is how to teach at Merrymeeting first contact. Uh, if you have an idea for a class, if you have an idea for any kind of partnership that you want to do with Merrymeeting, any kind of event you want Merrymeeting to sponsor or host, anything at all that you think could go in the catalog or you would like in the catalog, the first contact would be to email me at this email address. Um, you can call me and leave a message, that's fine too, but email is usually the best way to contact me. I get it directly on my phone and I am very responsive. I also keep emails as records as well too. So I'll have different folders with different emails specifically for different catalog cycles or different topics. So it is important because if you send me an email with your idea, that email automatically gets cataloged into a specific file that I can reference at all times. If you call me and leave a message, that's a little bit unflexible. That message probably won't last. I'll get it, and I hopefully will make a note about it. Um, but that's why email is much more secure. Uh, After the email, though, is when we will schedule a time to chat, and we can chat through all kinds of ways. So I'm really flexible. We can chat through Zoom, we can chat on the phone, we can chat in person, and we can even chat through email or some sort of messenger system. Doesn't matter to me. I'm well versed in all those ways, but we will have a conversation about your proposal and just about some things to think about as we're going through the process. The third thing is to get the proposal to me by the deadline. That's really important. A lot of times I'll get proposals and proposal ideas through emails, and then we'll have a conversation and everything will be going fine. But then the instructor or potential instructor forgets the deadline or just doesn't get to it in time. It's really important that you get to me anything that you want by the deadline. We will take proposals after the deadline. So it's sort of a priority thing. But as I get proposals, I start constructing the calendar. And so as we get classes, the calendar starts filling up, which means our classes start filling up and our spaces in our rooms start filling up. And so if you get the proposal to me after the deadline, you may or may not be able to get into the catalog depending on the space. So at that point, it'll be a space limitation type of situation. And we'd like to run as many programs as we can. We're really flexible with that. We'd like to give a wide variety of options to our customers, but we need the information. Deadline is really important. So just remember that. And then the last thing is more details in the proposal instructions. So I will be sending out a set of proposal instructions, especially if you contacted me already, uh, again, through email, because then I have your email address automatically logged and I put that into a contact list. And then I send out a contact list with proposal instructions for every catalog cycle. So I'll keep you on the list for as long as you want me to keep you on this, basically. But it's really, again, really good idea to email me, especially initially, so I have that information. And also, if you have any information you want to share with me, if you have a website that you want to share with me, if you have anything, any type of writing or any type of references, all those things really are only shared online. So again, an email is the best way to do it. If you leave me a message and tell me all those things on the phone, I may forget those things. Those things may never come up again. I can't see things or read things through a phone. I can only do that through email. So I just wanted to stress that as much as possible. But yeah, let's go on to the next slide. Okay. So this part is about getting ready. So once you've sent me an email, hopefully, with your proposal idea, and then we've set up a time to chat and talk about it, and then you send me your proposal and you start considering your proposal, and then I get back to you and I say, okay, great, we've accepted your proposal into the next catalog. There's a few things you're going to want to do between that point and then getting it into the catalog. Some things to think about and some things to get ready for. So one of the first things that you'll want to do is start thinking about how you're going to craft your class. We'll talk a little bit about this when we have our one-on-one conversation in our chat about your proposals, but you'll want to start thinking about how it's going to look and how it's going to work. because you're going to have to figure out time frame, just the next bubble underneath, and you're going to have to figure out materials if materials is something that's part of your class. But time frame is very important. It's not just when your class will run, whether it's from September to October, but it's also the amount of hours that your class will run, the amount of days. Usually, we'd like to stick to a specific type of schedule. So we will, if your class is a multi-week class, or that's what you're proposing, then we'd like to run classes 1 day a week. So let's say Monday nights are the best for you, and you want to run 6 classes. We will stretch those 6 classes over 6 weeks and have it on the same night every week. But there are times where we have either workshops that are very specific, either 2 day workshops or 3 day workshops or retreats, or type of program that requires people to come in 2 days a week, or I mean, runs the gamut really. So we can discuss all that, but it's something you want to think about because it's also, this is when you're getting to the territory of teaching. Now you're getting to the territory of how you're going to deliver information and content to people in the public, and that has to be a very thoughtful process. And one of the first things you have to think about is time frame. This is the information you have. This is the content you have. How are you going to deliver that to your students in a timely manner? It's not just about delivering the content in this amount of time, but it's also understanding if it's too much information too fast, or too little information too slowly. That will affect the experience of your class as well too. You may want to run kind of mock classes, maybe with a friend or a family member, and just see how much time you need specifically to teach what you want to teach. You might be thinking, oh, this could be just a 3 hour workshop, no problem. But then you actually sit down and do it with a friend, and you figure out, oh my gosh, no, there's so much more I need to do. So then at that point, it becomes, okay, it's maybe a 6 hour program. At 6 hours, it's not really necessarily a one-time workshop. We could break that up into 2 3 hour workshops, or maybe this is a type of topic that you want to revisit with people over a few weeks. So we can stretch it out to 6 weeks and have it a 1 hour class every 1 day a week for 6 weeks. So that, it all depends on what content you have and how. So those are things just to think about. And then materials as well too. It's specifically more for art classes, but there are classes that have other types of materials as well too, depending on whether they're safety goggles, if you're doing something mechanical or technical, or trying to think, or perhaps a writing class with notebooks or pens, or just depending on what it is, you're going to want to think about that because that's going to go into your description for the catalog. And you're going to want to let potential customers, potential students know that before, or as they sign up, before they sign up really. But that's something else we can actually talk about later. And then the bubble after that is the catalog description, which is pretty important for us here. The catalog is a catalog of courses. Everyone knows what catalog is, especially when it comes to educational institutions. It has a schedule of classes. However, and this is an experience that I've come into because I've been in this job for 3 years now. The way that our catalog has been taken into the community has been it's been a wonderful experience for the adult education program, but it's something that I think is very important to understand. A lot of our customers, they ingest the catalog like they would a magazine. So I've heard stories from directly from our community members telling me that they're really excited about the catalog because they're going to then set it aside for a particular weekend where they're just going to sit down at their coffee table and just have some coffee and put on their reading glasses and really get going. And that's the way that they take it. That's the way that they approach the catalog, and so that's really important to understand because our customers are they're really dissecting the descriptions, and so you're going to want to be very clear. I'm going to talk about this later, and it's also much more. I go about it much more in depth in a memo that I send out to all teachers. But you're going to want to be very intentional with your descriptions. You want to give as much information as possible, about what the class is and is not in some cases, about what customers would need to have a successful experience in the class. It could be anything from a certain kind of material to also uh, a state of being, really. I mean, there was one class we ran this past spring, I believe it was called Past Life Regression. And the class was very specific about what students needed to do and how they needed to prepare for the class. It didn't involve materials. It involved a lot of thoughtful meditative work for themselves. It also involved specific instructions on what to do during those class periods or those workshop periods. So it could be a variety of different things, but it's just very important that we're very clear about what the experience is going to be in the description. Of course, there's marketing involved, and we want the description not to be dry either. We want it to be, as impactful as possible, but nothing is more important than being as articulate and as intentional as possible with the description. So we'll go into that later. Now on to the next one. The next set of bubbles, we have communication. Communication is very important. It like I was talking about a little bit earlier, email is best for a variety of reasons. Merrymeeting uses email, specifically the email within our registration system, which is the bubble underneath that course form. But we use email to communicate with all of our students and teachers. And we do this because a lot of information is online. We can't share that information through a phone call. We can't share that information in any other way. Sometimes we have documents that we have to share with students and teachers. Sometimes teachers want to share documents with students. Sometimes they want to share videos. Sometimes they want to share, it's all kinds of things. So email is just very important that it allows us to do that and to share these types of materials with students in that way. But email is also important for us because it's an automatic record keeper. Like it keeps a record of what was said and how and how we're going about doing the process. So we can always refer back to it. It's not something that we use punitively. It's not like we go back and say, "Oh, you said this." But it is important for us to go back and understand if something went wrong in the process or if something was miscommunicated. It is important for us to go back and understand where that miscommunication happened because we want to be able to correct that. So if it was something that we misunderstood or something that wasn't forwarded correctly or to the right person, then we need to know that. So again, it's not done through the phone. There's no way to keep a record of that. It's email. Email keeps records of everything. So email is super, super, super important. Now, below that, along the same vein, we have our registration system, CourseStorm, and CourseStorm is an online registration system. It has its own email system within it as well too that we use very frequently. It's a system that you will get to know because you'll each have your own account, and I'll get that talk about that too in a different slide. But yeah, it's where we do everything registration related. It's a system that is statewide, so the state basically they purchase the system for us or what, but all adult eds throughout the state use the same system. So we're all on CourseStorm. So I'm sure a lot of you, if you're not already familiar with CourseStorm, you will be, because it's not just us, it's also other adult eds that use the same system. So it's probably behooves you to learn about the system as well as possible. Now onto the last set of bubbles. So the paperwork is also very important too. I will direct everyone in a future slide here to the Teacher Center. You probably already know about the Teacher Center because if you're watching this video, that's where this video is located. But if not, it's a place to go to. It's a place that we designed specifically, not just to house information about proposals and the process, but also we want to grow the web page into a site where we can give teacher general information, have teachers communicate with us as well too. So it's growing, but it's always a good resource and a good site, a good web page to go to. But yeah, all the information that you'll need as far as paperwork is in the Teacher Center, including the employment application, the W-9 tax form, and then there's one more thing. There's also a proposal instruction that's on there, And I'll probably start putting the memos that I send out. I'll also start posting them in the teacher center. So it's the best place for you to go as far as paperwork. Oh, and one last thing. In the teacher center is also our handbook. We actually have a handbook for enrichment teaching. It's pretty comprehensive. Everything is in there. There are a few things we've updated it as best we could, but there may be some discrepancies here and there. We'll have to go through it again. But it's also a very good guide with a lot of pertinent information. But yeah, so, and then in the last bubble, I just want to remind everyone that your W-9 tax form is very important. That's how you get paid. So if you are a new teacher, please, please, please fill this out as soon as possible and get it back to me. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so now let's talk about marketing your class. So we've gone from proposing your class, which is first contact. That's me, email me, you and I talk, and then we work on your course description. And then in the last slide, we talked about getting ready for your class, right? The class description and how that's going to look in the catalog. And then we also talked about communication, how that's going to work. And then we talked about paperwork and whatnot. So that's getting ready for the class. Marketing your class is another part of getting ready, but it's probably the biggest part of getting ready for your class. Your class going into our catalog is already a huge marketing push for your class because our catalog, like I mentioned, has a very wide reach. However, it is always a good idea to market beyond one source, to be as flexible as possible in the types of avenues that we work in. So what we do is we create posters like the ones you're seeing here, but we also create graphics, and we turn these posters a lot of times into graphics that we'll use in Facebook. We'll use it in our Instagram account. We'll use it sometimes I don't know if we have an X account. I don't think we do. But this is where we use it sometimes on our website as well too, and we'll print these out, post them, give them to people. We'll do all kinds of things with them. But marketing is a two-way street. So we want these classes to run as much as you want them to run, and we are just here in the business of doing this for you. So please use us and use the resources that we offer to you as best you can. Like I said, it's a two-way street, so we can't do much if you are not working with us in the marketing. That's not to say that you need to do everything that we ask. We will ask certain things, or we'll suggest certain things that you may not want to do, or you may not be comfortable with. So don't do it. Don't, we don't want to force anyone to do anything they're not comfortable with. But we do have some experience doing this, and we have seen from this point of view what works and what doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes nothing works. Sometimes everything works. The important thing is to try, right? So I always suggest to teachers that they think about a video. Video has a long reach. People enjoy watching videos, even if they're very, very short clips. But a simple video of you just talking about your class, your program, maybe just talking about the topic, maybe talking about your own passions, your backgrounds. It could be any kind of thing that we can possibly think about could be your video, and that could help move your class along. A lot of times we'll strongly suggest the video if we release the catalog, it's been published, it's been mailed out, and it's been a few weeks since then, and your class still isn't moving much. We have a newsletter as well too, which I think I'll come up. I'm not sure if I have a slide or not, but I'll talk about it here too. We have a newsletter that uses graphics as well too. The newsletter is we have a lot of people that open the newsletter and look at the newsletter too, but its reach isn't as powerful as the catalog. So we always insist on the catalog, but if we can't get in the catalog or the catalog isn't enough sometimes, then we'll use it to push certain aspects of the class, whether it's a visual, graphic, or a poster, or a video. We've seen videos work very well. For example, we had a class, I believe it was a Zumba class, that had been stuck at around 5 or 6 people for weeks. And then we had a newsletter, and in the newsletter, I suggested to the instructor that she just send me a video, and we'll upload it to our YouTube channel and put it on our newsletter to see if it would move a little bit. And the video was fantastic, and the instructor did a great job of just kind of explaining who she is and what she does. And I think that helps people, especially in the public, feel better and more comfortable about thinking about paying for your class and taking it. And she went from 5 to 6 people to, I believe, 12, 13 now in the course of a week from that one newsletter. It doesn't happen every single time like that, but video is our biggest mover and shaker. So if you can, please do it. We also, if you don't have the capability or you don't have the know-how, you can easily come here. We have cameras that we use to make videos. We've made videos for teachers before, and we will help you. We'll carve out some time where we can sit down with you, come up with a script, or figure out what you want to talk about, and then we'll just turn on a camera and shoot the video. And then we'll take care of everything ourselves. We'll take care of the editing. We'll take care of the uploading to our YouTube channel and include everything else. So it would just be as simple as you coming in and just talking to a camera. So video is very important. It's also something that we share on our social media sites as well too. But yeah, so marketing is something that is an ongoing job and an effort, and something that we'll be talking about throughout your work here with Merrimeeting. Okay, next slide. So now that we've talked about marketing and we've talked about everything else related to getting ready for your class, let's talk a little bit about actually teaching. So once your class is ready to go, um, these are some things that you should think about while you're teaching. And these are also things that I included in the memo, in the Word memo that I send out to teachers before they start teaching. So this will be repeated again in Word, in Word form. But so the first bubble is class start and end times. So it's really important because we are part of a school district and because a lot of our classes do run out of satellite locations within other schools that have their own staff and then have their own um, custodial and management styles and schedules. It's very important that we respect that. So if your class is proposed to run from, let's say, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., fantastic. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll print in the catalog. And that's what we expect the class to run, which means your class has to start at the time that you say it starts, and it also has to end at the time you say it ends. Um, so that might mean that you may have to come in a few minutes early to set up so that your class starts at the exact time it's supposed to start. And that also means that you will have to end your class 5 minutes before the end time in order to get people ready to leave. Let me just read this really quick, just because it's really important. Please remember to wrap up your classes about 5 to 10 minutes before the scheduled end time. So if your class ends at 6 p.m., please start wrapping up around 5:50 or 5:55. Our schedule is very tight and getting tighter with each catalog cycle. We have minimal room for flexibility. So if your class ends at 6 p.m., you and your students are expected to be exiting the classroom at 6 p.m. promptly. Um, this is especially important for any classes that are running in a satellite location because there are custodial staff there and custodial members that are waiting for your class to finish. They have the schedule, they know that your class ends at this time. So if on their schedule your class ends at 8 o'clock, they expect to be walking into your class at 8 o'clock exactly to do what they need to do for their job. And so it's really important that they don't wait around. I'd say it a little bit, I'm a little bit more um, specific and targeted about it in the memo because it's just the way it is. But if you don't do this, there's a very good chance you'll be kicked out of the location. It's just simple as that. All it takes is the one custodian to complain to the principal, and then the principal to complain to me or to my boss, and then that's it. That's all it takes, and they could say, okay, we're going to kick your class out. You didn't leave at the time you said you were going to leave. If that means that maybe you think, okay, your class is going to run from six to eight, I might need a half hour because I like to talk and socialize with my students after the fact, then you're going to want to propose your class running from 6 to 8:30, not 6 to 8. So I would just bake that time in there. Same thing for prep as well, too. If you think that if you would like to bake that time into your prep, then maybe start your class 15 minutes before. Although I wouldn't suggest that. Actually, no, strike that. Because then if you publish that your class starts at a certain time, your students are going to come in and they're going to expect your class to start, not to be watching you prepare. So this goes for your end times, but not for your start times. Start times need to be start times. That's what's being advertised to students and the public. End times, however, can be a little bit more flexible. If we can publish that an end time is let's say 8:30 p.m. That doesn't mean that I have to stay there until 8:30 p.m. necessarily. You can end your classes at 8 o'clock and then just have the half hour to just socialize and just clean up or whatnot. Sometimes it's not important. Sometimes, teachers will say, okay, my class is 8 o'clock, so I will stop talking at 7:50, and that's it. And it could be as simple as that. So next bubble is room maintenance and cleanup. This is also very important. Please make sure to have your students cleaning up their workstations before they leave the class. General rule of thumb, leave the room in the same condition as you found it. We are here in this building in Topsom, in our headquarters in Topsom. We're a very small staff, and we do not have custodial support during the day. They only come at nighttime and only certain nights as well too. Um, so we really appreciate your cooperation when it comes to leaving the room in exactly the same condition that we set it up for you. There is something specifically here for art instructors that I'll share really quickly with you here, but it won't relate to everyone, but it may. But for art instructors, you work sometimes with wet media, even dry media can get very messy as well too. We will always provide table coverings and furniture coverings for you. Not every time, we may not have enough time to actually put those table coverings on the tables themselves. We try to, but if you ever come into a class and you see that the coverings are there, but they're not on the tables, please just put them out, or even wait for your students to come and then have them put them out for you. That's totally fine as well. Unappropriate. We'd rather you do that than actually damage some of the furniture. So that's specifically for our teachers. But yes, cleanup is just really important. And again, even more so when you're at a satellite location, because they're the maintenance staff there, they don't want to clean up more than they have to, and they shouldn't have to. So please be respectful of the space as much as possible. Thank you. Okay, the next bubble is socializing and loitering. So this is more specifically for the satellite locations if your class runs out of one of the classes in our district, or um, in one of the schools or somewhere else. Not so much here in our building in Topsom, although, there's some crossover. But basically, socializing has always been a central part of adult education in general. We encourage community building in all forms, and we welcome every opportunity for students to do so within their classes. However, loitering within a school building after hours is completely inappropriate. We've gotten complaints from custodial staff of adult ed students either idling or wandering around inside a school building after the class ends. Please encourage your students to socialize outside the school building before and after class sessions. So this is very, very particular to people that teach in satellite locations. You were there as a guest. So please, when you go there, you're there for the time that you were there for this from start to end. If you want to socialize, or if your students want to socialize, that's totally fine, but they need to do so outside of the building. The maintenance, it's a liability issue for the maintenance staff that's in the building, and it's just really the most courteous thing to do. It's a little different here in our building. We don't have a problem at all. We actually encourage people to socialize within our hallways. We have a little kitchenette, and we have bathrooms, and we have a water fountain, we have all kinds of things. I would not suggest doing so in the classroom though, because you may have another class scheduled to run right after your class. So you don't want to cut into the time of the other instructor and the other students that are there for another class after yours. And then the next bubble is keeping staff informed. This is very important as well too. It's very, very important. It's almost crucial, really vital that you keep us informed of all communication between you and the students. We encourage our instructors to communicate with the students directly, and you'll have a chance to do that by logging into your registration system, which I will talk about, I think, in the next slide. I will talk about it in the next slide, but it's also in my memo as well too. You'll each have your own sign-in system so you can see your students' information. But we encourage that, but please just simply CC us, either me, Catherine, or Susie, on anything that you send out. It's important that we know what's going on and how things are happening, It's even more important when it has to do with the schedule. And when it has to do with the schedule, you should always talk to me or Catherine first before you change anything in the schedule. Just make sure it's okay, and then you can change it with your students. Um, but at the very least, always CC either me or Catherine when it comes to do anything with the class, just so we are up to date with all that information, because we have students that call us sometimes or feel more comfortable talking to us sometimes about the class or about the experience or about specific details, and we need to know those details in order to be able to share that with students as well too. Um, Next bubble, art instruction specifics. Won't spend too much time on this, but it has to do specifically with materials lists, because all art classes have materials lists, and materials lists are actually extremely important when it comes to the catalog. Um, we don't publish materials lists in the catalog because it's just too much information, but we do specifically say in the catalog that we do provide materials lists for our students. These materials lists are incredibly important. It sometimes it helps a student decide whether they can take a class or not. Sometimes they will want to take a class, but they may not be able to depending on the materials list. Um, and so it's important that they understand the commitment that they're signing up for before they sign up, which is why the description is very important. They don't get a materials list specifically when they're before they register, because they have to register first. But once they register, they will get that list. So I will ask all my art teachers to provide a list, and then we set up an automatic email that's sent through the receipt to someone that registers. So when someone registers for your art class, they will. I mean, this relates to everyone, but when someone registers for your class, they will get a receipt email from the registration system. That email can contain certain information. So sometimes we'll attach PDFs to it, we'll attach other documents to it, or we'll attach a link to a website or whatnot. But that's the space that we have to automatically send information to students. And that's the space that we use to send them materials lists. It's important that they get these materials lists right away, specifically for art classes, because it will allow a student to reassess their registration in the class. I don't want to say this to put a damper on the experience or on the possibility of your class registering for your class or not. But it is important that we are intentional in this process. It's important that people get all the information that they can get so they can make the best decision for them. Some classes that we run, some of the materials will run sometimes in the hundreds. I mean, with stained glass, for example, I actually am in the middle of taking stained glass myself because I was really curious about the class and about the process, but I was also curious how it worked with materials specifically. And I got to tell you, it was very expensive. I knew it would be expensive going in, but it was very expensive, and it helped me understand how expensive when I got the materials list when I registered for the class. Um, it's just really important to know. Sometimes some teachers like to talk about materials in their classes, like on the first day, and I think that's great because I think a lot of students will have questions. But we still need to send students something when they register, even if it's just your email address saying, "Hi, send me any questions you have about your email." That's fine too. But we need to send students something when they register for your class when it comes to the materials list, because they need to know whether they can fulfill the class or not, whether they can have a good experience with their class or not. Materials will go a long way to do that. But yeah, let me finish there, go more into it that I send out to all our teachers. And then this last bubble is pay and invoicing. So as an independent vendor, you are responsible for providing us with an invoice of services that were rendered. Invoices should be sent directly to Susie McDonald. You saw her fabulous face in the last few slides. She takes care of all billing and accounting information. Um, and so a really quick point about this, if you send the invoice to anyone else, we can't guarantee that the invoice is going to get to Susie. Susie is the person to do that. You can CC Susie, you can CC me, you can do whatever you want. But one of the email addresses that's being sent to has to include Susie. I've received, I'm very responsive on email. I'm literally checking my email day and night every day because I like to just keep up on it. But there are times where I can forget because it's not my job to process an invoice. It just isn't. And so I will forget it. And then have a teacher be like, "Oh, I haven't gotten paid yet," and will apologize profusely and put that invoice through. But it's because they sent me the invoice alone, or they sent it to someone else. Um, Susie's the person you need to send. That's just going to say it 110%. Um, and then a sample invoice is included for your reference in the memo that I send out to all teachers. So it's a PDF memo. There's a PDF sample invoice too. Upon request, I will send you a copy of that Excel file. So that Excel file is set up so that you can kind of punch in your information as it is. The sample just has sample information, but I will send that to you as a template. So just email me, let me know. That's not a problem. Again, this is a lot of information, but all this information is in a memo that I will send out to everyone before your class starts. You can always reference this video again too. Okay, let me do a quick tour of our website. Let me get out of, there we go. Okay, so just so we can look at the website really quick. This is our website right here. It's very similar, again, because we use the same registration system, but it's a similar, I believe it's WordPress or some website building system as well too. All adult eds throughout the state of Maine use the same ones. So they all look pretty similar as well too. As you'll see up here in this corner, it's all managed through that Maine Adult Education Association, MAEA, which is the lobbying arm for adult education. So they have our best interests at heart, and they are the ones that are out there talking to the legislators, trying to get bills passed for more money for us or for this or for that. And yeah, wonderful organization. I'm actually a part of it. And so yeah, everything is kind of built around Coursera in this system, and it all comes from Maya. But then this is our specific website. We always have a button up here for the catalog, our online version of the catalog, which I'll show you in a minute. A button just to search for a specific class, and we also have information here for the newsletter if you want to sign up for a newsletter as well too. And then here we just have information about specific programs that are running. Um, we're divided up. We have more different tabs here that you can go to, and another search function as well too. But yeah, that's basically, I wanted to show you guys all, I wanted to show everyone this function here, which is the PDF catalog. So when people click on this, this is what they get. This is simply an online version of the print catalog that you all get in the mailbox, or that you've all seen. But there is one feature about this that's very successful for us, and it's very important to us as well too. I believe a lot of adult eds have been doing it too. It's the feature where we actually link the registration page to the actual class within the online catalog. So if you want to register for this book talk with Regina Stronghold, all you do is click on it and go to it. I'm not going to click on it because the book talk already happened, so we'll just get a error code, yeah, 404 error code, because it already happened. So let me go to something that has yet to happen. Let's go to this Medicare one. So customers just click on it and then they get sent directly to the registration page for the class that they click on, just understanding Medicare. And oh, there's a wait list already. So here is session 2, June 3rd. The first session already happened. But this is something else kind of wanted to point out too. On the registration pages, we have, if you do multiple sessions of the class, they're all listed out here as well too. So they potential customers can choose between the first session, third session, or second session, or whatnot. Let me show you what that looks like. But I need to go to a class. I know exactly what class to go to. Let's go to, where's the class here that has multiple sessions? If you just bear with me really quick, you can look at our lovely catalog. It's literally just a page for page version of the print catalog. Here we go. So Let It Go Fiesta with Tony, which is a fitness class, has multiple sessions as you can see here. But if you click on the link, and then go to his registration page. Here you go. So his first session already happened, so it's gone and you won't see that. But he has a second session, and then he has a third session as well too. So customers can come here and click on register for whatever session they would like to sign up for. It works very, very well. We've heard great things from our customers about it. So we use that as much as possible. Um, Okay, let's go back to the website. So yeah, that's our catalog. And then we have other things happening here too. There's something I wanted to show everyone here because it pertains to you specifically. And it is a page about our enrichment teachers. Teacher info, meet enrichment teachers. Yes, so this is one version of the meet our enrichment teachers. Um, we started doing this. We're not sure if we're going to continue it. Um, it's a nice page, but it's also a lot of work to keep updating pictures as well too. There is another site. I'm not sure if it's up yet, where it's just no, this is the teacher center, which you're all familiar with, or should be. Um, if we click on teacher info, it's just there. It might not be up yet, so I may not be able to show it to everyone. Just go back to the homepage. But it's similar to this. But instead of the pictures, it just lists everyone out by names and their bios. Um, and so we like to do this because our customers have asked for it multiple times. They like just to know a little bit of information about their teachers. Since we have very limited space in the catalog, we don't print that information in the catalog as much as we'd like to. We just don't have the pages to do that. So instead we have an online version of that here, and anybody that ever asks for it, which a few people do, we send them the link immediately, and then they have at the tip of their fingers all the information, all the bios we get from each enrichment teacher. So if you're new, you should expect an email from me at some point, especially if we run your course in the catalog. Um, you should expect an email from me about your bio as well too, so we can put that in. Okay, let's go back to the home page. And that's it. So we can go to the Teacher Center really quick, although if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with it already, but this is our handbook. Get there, teacher application, W-9 tax form. That video I'm making now will actually be on here, and then the proposal instructions are right here. I will probably also have the memo right here. This is a picture of some enrichment teachers we used to have with us and some other students as well too. But yeah, then we have other things going on depending on what type of program you're doing, what type of information you're looking for. We also have a tab here with our newsletters. We have to update this as well too. Yeah, we have to update it majorly 2022, but they're all basically just um, yeah, it's just a printout of our newsletter for that corresponding time. So we have a lot of information that's available on our website, and you'll get much more familiar with it as you experience this process. All right, let's go back to the slideshow. Although I think the next slide is a quick tour of CoreStorm, the registration system. Yeah, so instead of going to slideshow, we're just going to show you all registration system. This is CoreStorm. I wanted to show everyone the the view from a teacher's perspective because it's different than this is an admin perspective. The teacher's perspective is different. Obviously, you don't have the information from all of the classes in the catalog. You can only see the information from the class that you are connected to. But um, let's say you're Tony and you're running Young at Heart Fiesta class. Tony has a sign up in CoreStorm. And so it's basically an invitation link that I send you, and then you accept the invitation through the link, and then you set up your own login, I think username and then also password. And then once you're inside the system, you'll be able to see all of the classes that are connected to you, that you're the instructor of. And on top of that, you'll be able to click on the classes and you'll be able to see all the students that have registered for your classes. You'll be able to see the information of the students that have registered for your classes as well too. Um, it's really great for you to also double check and make sure that everything that we have in the system is everything that you proposed as well too. Because sometimes mistakes happen. We're all human, and things happen in the catalog as well too. Sometimes we'll post something that wasn't supposed to be posted, or something was miscommunicated, and it ends up in the catalog. Right? It's not the end of the world because the catalog is the print version of it, but what it ends up being online is this. Students and this students look at the classes. This is what potential students and customers are looking at, so they get all the information here. A lot of times, because online space is vast and you can use as much of it as possible, we will have longer descriptions on the online registration page than we will in the catalog. The catalog, we like to keep our descriptions to about 50 words max. But if there is more that you need in the description, and sometimes teachers will want more in the description, that's not a problem. We will just edit the description within the registration system to be the longer one that you provide for us. And honestly, this is really, I mean, the print catalog is the first contact for most people, right? But once they go from the print catalog, most people will go online to look at the class and read and get more information. So this is actually the perfect spot to put in as much information as possible about your class. The catalog is really just kind of a teaser, kind of the teaser trailer that studios give out to try to entice you and try to pique your interest, and then they move on to the online version of it and get to read much more about it. Um, then also maybe read your bio if they end up looking at the new teacher info, or if they ask us for your teacher info specifically. Um, but yeah, let's see. Let's go back to the system. This to move. Okay, then I'll just move myself. Um, so yeah, there's not much else to say about it. Uh, this is just a very different look. It's like two things. We have our classes. This is just a dashboard of our registrations that come in and gives us all kinds of information about what's happening. Um, you'll have a very simplified version of this because it's just a version that pertains to the classes that you're teaching. But it's a really great system to work from, and it's not a perfect system, but it still gives you a lot more information than you would have normally. Because normally we would just send you all the roster, your student roster, maybe a few days before your class, and that's it. This way, you have much more information at your fingertips, and then you're also able to connect with your students directly about kind of any information that you want to give them, any kind of welcome email or video or whatnot. Go from there. But, uh, but yeah, so that's Core Storm. I'm sure you'll hear much more about it. And that is the end of our presentation, actually, because the last slide is here. Thank you all for teaching with Merrymeeting. So yeah, this was great. I'm glad we got to do this. I'm glad I got to specifically talk about a lot of things that you will be receiving in memo form, in an email form, and some sort of online form, um, just so you get a little bit more um, kind of details about what we're talking about, what the layout looks like really. We're a small staff here, but really close and work really well together. Here is very talented and very hardworking and diligent at what they do. And we are here because we also believe in the mission of adult education. We want to provide for residents, and um, our mission statement is to enhance the lives of the residents we serve in the communities that we serve. And it's a broad um, statement, but it's also very encompassing and very inclusive. And that's how we like to look at adult education. So we are always open for a conversation. We are always open to discuss um, any potential programming ideas or partnership ideas or events or anything you could possibly think of. that you think could work with our program and our catalog, we would love to hear it and speak with you about it. So yeah, I'm sure you will all hear from me throughout this entire process. But I hope it's a good experience for you. We try to be as diligent as possible in our communication, and and we hope that you will be teaching with us. But other than that, thank you very much for listening. And again, contact me anytime through email, especially um, for with any questions or any information, comments, concerns, or whatnot, and I will get back to you. All right. Thank you very much.